Prince Andrew's a nonce-burger.
Ladies and gents, it's Sunday and it's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the Sunday Times this morning, Starmer's triple lock pledge on not hiking tax. Actually feels like we might be on the cusp of the narrative shifting with this sort of stuff, because even though traditionally pensioners are your voters, they're the guys who actually go out and vote at general elections, it does feel at the moment like with the leadership debates recently, like there's a bit like the SNP, the Green Party. I don't know, it does feel like we're getting more and more higher and higher profile political figures saying, hang on a second, why are we in this race to the bottom whenever we're talking about things like cutting taxes and, you know, the demonisation of immigration? You know, at what point are we just going to go, actually, do you know what? We need immigrants to staff public services and they bring in a net benefit to the economy with regards to tax, and we can't cut taxes any further because, do you know what? It costs money to run a country. Anyway, speaking of a race to the bottom politically, Jeremy Hunt is also on the front cover of the Times today saying six-figure earners need help. Now, I read that headline, six-figure earners need help, and I immediately thought, is he talking about himself? Because Jeremy Hunt is not short of a bob or two. And also, he's really struggling in the polls in his Surrey constituency. So much so that he's had to put in 100 grand of his own money. And the Lib Dems are like neck and neck with him now. Which makes this headline all the more funny, because he's had to hemorrhage money. 100 grand into his own constituency campaign funds. Add that onto his own tax policy affecting him. And now he's like, yes, has anybody got a few quid I could borrow? But if we could just be sensible for a moment, like even if you interpret this as Jeremy Hunt's sensible reaction to the current economic landscape, you know, like even people on 100 grand a year could probably use some help. What does that say about your economic policy? That even the top 5% of earners in the country are buckling under the political and economic pressures that you have delivered to them. Guys, can we all just settle down? Just put the pitchforks down for a second. I know there's a lot of anger directed at me and people like me, but just let me reassure you, we're all in this together, and people like me even are struggling against the backdrop, this rich tapestry of financial struggle and woe that people like me have gifted you. Over to the Sunday Mirror now. Kate, I hope to be back soon. Right. She hopes to be back soon. Does anybody out there, any of you watching this, yes, you, right now watching this, do you personally believe the narrative that is being shared by Buckingham Palace and the subservient royalist right-wing press? Or in this case, the Mirror. Because I'm not saying she doesn't have cancer, or that the King doesn't have cancer, or that Sarah Ferguson doesn't have cancer. Bit unlucky though. But I think what I'm saying is, even if she does have cancer, why would that prevent her from showing up for things like Trooping the Colours? Like, she hasn't been seen in public, like really seen, verifiably in public since November, was it? Which is just, I mean, look, here's some things that we have seen in the time that we haven't seen Kate Middleton. The original lineup of Guns N' Roses are recording a studio album together again. A fucking solar eclipse happened. King Charles, with his cancer-ravaged arsehole, he's showed up to work. Then there's this guy who was in a superhero movie of some description. He had colon cancer and he showed up every day to work. And before you all get aggy at me, you know, like, oh, you sounded really callous there, Aid. Sounding a little bit uncaring there for a second, you know? What exactly are you suggesting? You're suggesting every time anyone gets cancer, they've got to drag their ass straight from chemo back to work. Is that what you're saying, yeah? Anytime anyone gets cancer, they got to bend over, prove and justify their work leave to you by parting their arse cheeks and showing you their rectum. And so just chill on that stuff, all right? That is not what I am suggesting at all. I am not suggesting that anyone anywhere gets cancer has to do. I'm suggesting these do. This publicly funded, outdated, weird North Korea PR'd family with a history of putting out misinformation and misleading narratives. I think when you're a member of the upper circle of this family and you benefit from all the riches and spoils, I think when you hold up your hand and you say, I've got cancer, I might be out of action for it, and there's other members of the same family, not to mention wider society, who continue to show up while they're doing their actual cancer treatment, not preventative cancer treatment. I think maybe the general public do require some transparency here. Finally, to the Sunday Express. Farage, we are now the real opposition. Now, I already did a video about this last night, but just quickly to touch on the bullet points of it. They are not the real opposition. This is his latest unicorn fantasy. That's all this is. Farage leads Reform, and Reform are cutting the right vote in half in certain constituencies, but not even all constituencies. Like, how are they going to be the real opposition when they still haven't found like 150 candidates to stand in certain seats? He's like, oh, we're the real opposition. To who? And just to put it into perspective, if there were going to be another opposition that was going to overtake the Conservatives, right, once Labour get into power with what we assume is going to be a healthy majority, that opposition party would be the Liberal Democrats. That's right. According to 2 polls last week, the Lib Dems are currently on course to become the second largest party in the United Kingdom. Which is funny because going back like a few months, I remember saying on my podcast, I was like, sometimes I just really wish we could just lead them off with a breadcrumb trail into some field in Kent or Devon and just let them, celebrate Brexit and have bunting and all that. And then let the rest of us, all the grown-ups, get on with actually running the country. And now, as we get closer to the general election, we're actually in a situation that could see the Conservative Party and Farage arguing with each other. Like, oh, we hate trans people more than you. Oh, no, we hate the ECHR. What do you think about the ECHR? Just having ridiculous, intellectually barren conversations in a British Legion bar somewhere, while Lib Dems and Labour will be in the House of Commons trying to fix this shit.
From your neck to your ankles, your black ball, screaming booze down the damn halls and crack calls. Reviews and those rants falls, my man brawls. Your straw man, your ball games, it's your dad's balls. All day, every day, your boy's killing it. Quick dealing the sick shit, straight illin' it. Slick figure in politics, for the thrill of it. Pillin' beer, swillin', going ape on gorilla shit.